Hello, my friends. Welcome back. I'm your host, Kurt Elster,
Jack Nasty.
and this, of course, is the Unofficial Shopify podcast. And today we're sitting down with Diana Birsan, who founded an app that I've used and enjoy called Downpay. It gives you and your customers more flexible payment options in their Shopify store. I was talking to Diana, the founder of Downpay, and she had all these brilliant insights about how to leverage payment plans, apps like this, because she has a lot of experience from her former life at Shopify. Yes, she came from the mothership to join us in Shopify Partnerland. Diana, thank you for joining me.
Thanks so much, Kurt. Really excited to be here because I can't stop talking about partial payment, apparently.
It's so silly to be like, yeah, you know what's really exciting? Partial payments. But
People are like, really?
when you're this deep in e-commerce, it is exciting. It's not a joke.
Yeah, people who get it, you know?
Either they have stopped listening or they're like, yes, I'm right. They got pen and paper out. You had a career at Shopify, then you co-founded this app. What led you to make that leap from Shopify to, independence with an app?
So I was various roles at Shopify when I was there. I was finding my career, but it started making me see that there's this world of building products for people that use them. And shockingly, I hadn't been very familiar with that space before getting exposed to that project. And so, I made my way through Shopify in the product org, working on orders, fulfillment, worked on the whole subscriptions retrofit, like the APIs for selling plans. And then, funny enough, ended up pitching partial payment during the pandemic as a first-class API to fix a huge problem, which was related to canceled orders during the pandemic because of these crazy delays, right? Things were not, getting to people, and people were canceling. So, and kept working on that. Decided to just explore a different product role to get more leadership opportunity in a different company. And long story short, I got really bored. It was a slower environment than Shopify. And I realized how much I needed the let's build stuff, let's get it out the door. And ended up pitching this idea for a partial payments experience on Shopify to my co-founder, Dennis, the Canada Day barbecue. So he was taking a career break at the time and, was burnt out from another company as well. And he is also Shopify. And so, we got together and we're like, there's an idea here, and started exploring it, doing this wait list, seeing if people were engaging with it and interested. And, we're 2 years in now, and the rest is history, I guess.
So you had a lot of experience in the tooling behind the scenes that would power something like this. So I get where the confidence to jump into this came from. And clearly you said, let's build things, right? I love that. I like that attitude. We want to get on the tools. It feels great.
Yeah.
But what was the initial inspiration behind Downpay?
Yeah. And it's funny, the initial inspiration behind Downpay was this whole world of pre-orders, right? You have inherent delays for video games, board games, new releases, the whole Kickstarter world, right? Where you're just trying to launch and gauge demand for something that is not available yet and, manage your production. And so that was the inspiration of I know that this is a problem. I know it's a problem on Shopify. Partial payment goes hand in hand with somebody kind of saying, I feel comfortable waiting 6 months for this thing. And so we started there and started exploring, interest. And while there were lots of companies that were like, yeah, that's exactly what I need, I'm launching new product. There was also really interesting businesses service industry wanting to do cancellation, no-show cancellation fees. They wanted to do buying trips. I just talked to a merchant this morning who sells trip packages, right? And hotel packages, and trying to do that on Shopify and saying, you do a reservation, you pay the rest over time. And then the big one, which was, I did not realize there was so much custom, bespoke, long lead time stuff on Shopify, furniture, jewelry, all these places that are high value goods. that slowly became like the inspiration to just build an amazing experience for businesses with lead times. And yeah, that's basically where we started and where we're going.
You saw you saw a gap in the market, and you knew you had the experience and the skills to fix it.
Yeah, and all natively on Shopify, right? So no like off-platform stuff, saving a card on file inside Shopify, letting a merchant, charge the card when it makes sense. All the notification systems for customers to pay their balance or to know when they're getting charged, and just this like really nice cohesive customer experience for buying these products. Like it didn't exist. There was no system like that that really helped make that whole journey easier. And like ultimately, like I think people wanted it and needed it, and we wanted to get in on the ground floor and be that best in class app to offer it.
So it sounds like those key features that you worked on, merchandising, subscriptions, cybersecurity, those experiences have shaped the approach to Downpay. And any like one lesson where you're like, yeah, this is the thing I took from Shopify and applied to Downpay.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm so glad that I got to work in so many different contexts. And like back then, I think I was being told that I was impatient or like, can you just stay in one place for like a while? And it didn't feel right. I was like, I want more. I want to like learn, more stuff. And I think yeah, the biggest thing I gained, which I guess is just like startup-y, culture of just build the stuff, test it, don't go too far down a path without, validating, and, go from there. And we've kind of followed that principle throughout the whole, story of building Downpay, where we started with a wait list, bare bones MVP to solve one problem really well, and then only iterated when it made sense instead of kind of like, yeah, overbuilding. And I think like Shopify really taught me how to do that well, where you be scrappy and get something out that solves a problem and then iterate on it over time where it makes sense, right? Sometimes the basic thing is the only thing you need, right? So it worked out so well.
So let's dive into Downpay. And I want to start with, how is it different than other payment solutions? Like, how is this not buy now, pay later?
Yeah, that's a great question because I get that one a lot. So, uh, yeah, the interesting thing about buy now, pay later is, customers get their products right away, and they, pay it off over time. It's basically a loan, right? Like they're, funded by banks and, do all this stuff behind the scenes that you're not aware of. And they're great experiences, and that's well and good. But the market that we're kind of focused on is this, well, the product can't ship to you today. Like it can't ship to you for a while. And so the question that constantly comes up is, why would I pay 8 to 12% in interest for something that I'm not even shipping out? And like merchants ask us that all the time. And a lot of stuff that I learned over the last 2 years is, you're talking about high value goods, right? Like I mentioned furniture, trips, like all these things are super high value. And the interest that company, a buy now, pay later company would charge is higher, and they'll approve less people for, those higher interest rates. And so if the product isn't going out yet and a customer just wants to commit to buying it and paying portions over time, it's such a great fit for having a card on file and being able to charge it over time versus taking out a loan, paying interest on that loan, and doing all this stuff behind the scenes. So that's kind of like the big difference between Downpay, where, we have some customers who do end up having a product in stock and shipping it, but they authorize the full balance on the card, do kind of like try before you buy. And then we have these customers that are like, well, I have 12 weeks of a customer waiting for their custom, coffee table. I'm just going to collect a deposit now and they can pay me when I've finished making it, right? When it's ready to ship. So really different delineation, but like until I explain it, people are like, oh, I had no idea.
So I heard some examples in there
Yeah.
of, types of businesses or use cases. And I see where these partial payments are adding flexibility when you have those long lead times. Any other examples you like that you want to share?
Oh, there's a really interesting popular one right now, which is like you can do like custom portraiture or, these like very unique pieces. And there's this huge incentive for people to commit to the purchase by doing a $0 deposit and then only being charged for the balance when they approve the proof, right? So lots of companies do this as a way to incentivize, like, people feel really uncomfortable giving money up for something they haven't even seen yet. And so that's a really, really cool one that I really enjoy. And it's really straightforward to set up for these places. I think it makes a big difference in conversion. And even the service space is huge. So you have appointment bookings on Shopify now becoming pretty common. And you have the ability to do $0 upfront payments, but then have a card on file in case of a no-show. So you can do like $50 charge if somebody doesn't show up. These are just like all the things I didn't think about when I built Downpay. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, it's flexible payments. That's like the name of the game, right? So those are some really cool ones that I'm just getting exposed to now.
So you can do a purchase where they have to put in a credit card number, but it's $0.
That's exactly it.
And then that gets card on file.
And you just agree that, there's an amount. It's all clear on checkout. It's not like a bait and switch. You understand what you're going to be charged later on, but at least it's a way for customer not to have to double check out and a merchant to actually get an order in Shopify, right? It's not like the promise of an order. It's a real order that exists.
Yeah, because otherwise the solution here is like they agree, probably, maybe they make we have like an item that is the deposit payment and they make that. And then the merchant has to figure out, okay, who do we need to charge? And then send them a draft order. A draft order is essentially a Shopify invoice, right?
Yep. And now you've sold two things. You have to like negate one of them. Your sales numbers are weird. And so like causes all these weirdnesses in the system where it's just like, this is like your sales. You sold one thing and you paid, partially for it. And analytics and all that works because it's all built in with Shopify orders and all the good stuff that keeps it clean.
Yeah, you want to do what you can to keep the Shopify analytics and the KPIs accurate. You need that business intelligence regardless of the size of your business. But it shocks me how often I'll get on a call with someone. I'll be like, hey, what's your average, like last 90 days, what's your average order value? What's your conversion funnel numbers look like? And often they'll be like, well, it says this, but actually, and then they tell you like the bizarre workaround that has just wrecked their analytics.
It's painful. Yeah, it's not perfect yet, and I think they're making really good strides on analytics. But like I don't want to be part of the problem.
It's rarely Shopify. It's like the
other things.
It's like some goofy workaround.
Yeah, exactly.
Is what does it.
I'm like, I refuse to make workarounds, that ruin like analytics and stuff. I work with data engineers and data scientists, and I'm just like, okay, they'll kill me.
Yeah, that'll reflect badly on us. We gotta keep those analytics good. So a lot of Shopify merchants use these crowdfunding campaigns, like pre-order campaigns, these pre-sale models, especially to do product launches. And it's really helpful because they know they have a minimum order quantity they have to commit to. It helps take a lot of the sting and fear out of placing the order when you could pre-sell the stuff. And so how does something like Downpay, a partial payment strategy, fit into that?
Yeah, that's a great question. We do have quite a few like crowdfunding campaigns that we've run. They become very popular around CES where people are like doing these big launches, And it's interesting because, the standard Kickstarter thing is give us all your money up front. We will hold it hostage until, we can maybe make this thing. And if not, we will refund you. And like, that's kind of like not a very big incentive for customers, like, yes, okay, I'm super excited about this thing, but not everyone is in the point where they're like $600, like, here you go. And so, you have the system that people run with crowdfunding where, you have a certain amount of units, you really want to sell them out. Otherwise you can't produce them. Why not take, a part of that payment and just charge somebody if they successfully sold 1,000 units or something like that. Even that amount of time and flexibility gives people more comfort that, you're not holding their money hostage and you're not, making them feel like, this product's not good enough for you if you can't pay in full. And so, like it's just opening up the amount of people that can actually commit to something like a pre-order and, be able to pay it off over time, right? And it's funny because like I used to work at EB Games, and like this concept has been around for how long? Like we used to take $5 deposits for pre-orders all the time, and now I'm like, all right, let's bring it to e-commerce. Like we can do this thing. So yeah, it's just like I didn't realize how much of a no-brainer it was until like really started talking to merchants and going, well, like, like I want to make sure I'm giving a lot of people the option to split payments, right? It could make or break like how much they bring in, on their paycheck, and, whether they feel comfortable doing it, right? So yeah.
Yeah, it opens up, it de-risks it a little bit on both sides.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it.
So we got Black Friday, Cyber Monday right around the corner. Do you have, I don't know how this would apply to BFCM strategies, but if you have an idea, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. It's funny. I've been obviously I've been thinking about this because, how does every company, get excited about BFCM? But yeah, there's a really interesting one, and it's like a little bit of psychology and a little bit of, functionality, which is the, brands get people buying a bunch of stuff on BFCM because they have really valuable deals, right? Some people wait for BFCM because that's when they can afford something. And so you have all these people that are like, raring to go and ready to buy whatever's 40% off, but then you sell out and there's no more left. And now the only thing I've seen has been, join this wait list. We'll let you know when it comes back in stock, right? But from the customer perspective, when it comes back in stock, it's not going to be on sale anymore. And so that's fine. And yes, waitlist apps do get you some business, right? Like people maybe want that thing. They don't care about the discount. But I thought about the concept of just taking $0 deposits for these, out of stock items. And I'm not going out there saying do it for everything. Like do it for things where you have a reasonable timeline when you're going to get your next batch, right? So like basically pre-order the next batch, but lock in the discount, right? So like it's a real order, you take it at $0, but you lock in the discounted price. And so like you can do that with partial payments and like flexible payments because it's not like a promise of a sale. It's a real sale and no money is changing hands. So like de-risked on customers, they're committed to you, right? To buy it from you. And like my best advice for that is like, if you're clear on batches, like, hey, you're going to get this before Christmas, like the next one's in 3 weeks, but we'd love, to lock in 30% now. Like, just do it, right? Like what's the harm in getting more sales? I don't know.
Yeah, I think the test here, well, I love this idea. I love it for the reasons you outlined. Normally I land on a page and it says it's out of stock. Ugh, annoying. And then maybe I buy something else. But on Black Friday, I know there's no end to the deals and the things I could spend money on, and my budget is finite. So I'm just going to close it. I'm closing it and I'm just going on to the next thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe I have on there like a back in stock request, and then I might get an email and maybe I'll still care, 30 days from now. Probably not.
Yeah.
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 I've moved on. Right.
Yeah.
And then, or you let me just make a deposit payment on it, buy it, pay part for it now, and I'm going to get it later. Well, as the customer, that's attractive because you're right. I want to lock in those savings. There's like a FOMO aspect to it. And then as the merchant, I've acquired that. But as long as, I think on the merchant side, really the critical thing here is how confident are you in your timelines, right? You don't want to do this willy-nilly. You need to be able to confidently explain, this is our estimated lead time. This is when you'll get this item.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's breaching trust too, right? Like, yeah, I'm going to make more sales, and obviously you don't make anything until you charge the card, but it's maintaining the trust on both sides. And then, yeah, like the psychological aspect of it is having that empathy for customers who don't want to overextend themselves with buy now, pay later, don't want to, do any of this stuff right out of the gate. And like BFCM is kind of scary for that because people want to buy gifts, want to buy, everything for way less. And this is just a really good strategy to have that empathy. And I'm sure it builds more loyalty with people who can see that you're offering them a wait list that's real, right? Like they're in line with an order. And so, yeah, I think that, yeah, we have a couple companies doing this already in preparation for BFCM. But I think that concept, every time I talk about it, people haven't really thought about it. They're like, oh, yeah, it's a real sale. Okay. I'll give it a try.
All right, so I want the real talk now. I want to
Mm,
know what was hard about building this. What was the challenge? Because the current story is like, I was so skilled, I got bored, and I had to go build my own thing with this
yeah.
brilliant idea that sounds very useful,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
no.
where did this hurt?
It hurts every day, Kurt. It hurts every day. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, save it for your therapist.
Yeah, right. No, I mean it's really hard building a company. Like I quit a full-paying job, right? And decided to take this on and get paid nothing. And so did my co-founder. And the same month I bought a house because I'm crazy. I had been looking for 2
You wanted to
years.
play in hard mode, huh?
Oh yeah, hard mode, absolutely. But I was like, now or never, like this thing is perfect, so on and so forth. And my like had to negotiate with my partner to, say, hey, like, are you able to support us for a while I do this thing, right? And like, I'm a risk averse person. Like my family is Eastern European and, they work for the same company for 40 years. And, if you quit your job that pays you, like, are you insane? And so these things like went through my mind of like, I didn't quit when we had product market fit or when we, had customers or we were getting paid. Like I quit when it was like, this thing will die if I don't, take it on full time. And so yeah, every day it's an emotional roller coaster of, oh, like this install came through, they uninstalled. They didn't leave a reason why they uninstalled, or like, all these things. And it's just like, it plays with you every day. And
I
it's
want merchants
brutal.
to really hear that.
Yeah.
When you install an app and then like 60 seconds later you uninstall it, which that is the majority of uninstalls. It's like
Yeah.
install,
Exactly.
immediately give up, uninstall. Every app,
Yeah.
it's always true.
Yeah.
The imagine being on the receiving end of that. It's like it's like an abandoned cart, when you see those come
Like,
through.
why?
Yeah.
What
Like,
can I do? And that's like
same
me every day.
mentality.
Yeah. And it's like so there's like that. And, then I personally am trying to get in front of brands where I'm like, I see you have 14-week build times. Like, but like everyone's inundated with, someone reaching out to you to be like, let me sell you this thing. Right. And you're like, how do I get through the noise of like, let me help you. Like, I know that you'll make more money with this. And that's painful because, yeah, it's just getting harder and harder with like AI sales outreach, everyone just being like trying to get your attention. And so, yeah, like we're still growing. Like we're only 2 years in, 1 year in market, right? Where we like launched billing plans last August and things are going well, but like things could change anytime. And so like I'm on edge all the time, like that's just, I guess, how it is to be a founder. Yes, I know this stuff really well, but like that doesn't mean, yeah, I'm like the expert at marketing and sales and like making sure that people really understand the value. And I think that's just trying to get better at it every day, right? So
Yeah, cold outreach.
yeah,
Brutal.
yeah,
And it's one of those things that I think just takes experience and thick skin. But you're right about like the generative AI just really ramping up the quality of the spam you get.
right.
Yeah. All my DMs are like, hey, bro, can I send you a quick video? Like, absolutely not. You may not.
I will not respond.
Yeah. Block, delete, moving on
Yeah.
with my life. But
I get it. Like I'm not, but it's just like, what's the best avenue, right? To just, try to help somebody sell more. And like, we actually have proof that it does. So, but it doesn't mean anything if you can't get someone's attention. So it's hard.
so well, you talk about the challenges of being a founder. One of the other big challenges, especially when it's like you are an app, you are one app, and the way to feel productive and busy with that app is to work on it, is to add features to it. But you could pretty quickly dig yourself into a hole with your career experience at Shopify. I bet you have thoughts on this. How do I know what the right features to build are?
Yeah, I mean, and I was a product manager, right? And it's just like, how do you build the right thing? And with a startup, it's like you have a tiny team, so you can't build it all. And I at the beginning, I think we weren't very good at this, where we just felt like we needed to appease everyone, right? It's like, oh, we're the new players, like they want this thing, we got to build exactly that thing, and like that's a trap, right? It's such a trap of
We
like,
all learn it the hard way.
right, like, or like you have this your first paying customer, or like a larger business, and they're like, we need these very unique things for our business, and you're just like,
Did you run and build it?
I did not. We did not.
I did.
Honestly, it really,
Do you know what
it's so
happens when
hard.
you build the thing they wanted?
What happened?
I'll give you one guess.
It,
They uninstall.
yeah, they're like, nah, that's not good enough.
Yeah,
No,
they're like, because they didn't really think through it, but you did. You thought it through it for them. You built it for them, and then they're like,
it's not the right fit.
but now they're embarrassed. So like, they not
Yeah.
only do they uninstall it, they ghost you too.
Oh, that's the worst.
And so
Oh, yeah, it's painful.
we got some extra features out of it, but early on, like, I wish I had known.
Yeah. No, it's hard to put blinders on and say, no, we're focused on this thing, and just not make the mistake of digging yourself too deep. So we're still obviously trying to play that. It's a fine line. I don't think there's a perfect solution there of like ignore everyone and focus on your plan. But like the features that we do end up building are based on, what do we want to become, right? And it's like, do we want to become, the next blah, blah, blah app or, this one? And you look at it and go, where are we solving the problem the best? Where are we making the biggest conversion bumps? Let's keep doubling down on that, because I do think we haven't even scratched the surface of, the kind of business we can grow with that, and decide if things are on the happy path. And that's what we did at Shopify, right? Like, it's build for the 80%. Are you, what are you really focusing on? And that can change every year. Like maybe you've really tackled something and you've done a great job, but like focus on that thing and don't derail your plans if it's working. And I think just having that attention span, of just keep going, even if it's mundane, I think is a really good way to build feature sets and like stay focused. And then, yeah, you got tons of time later on to like expand it to something else or, try something different. But that's kind of the approach we take now.
In the time that your career, well, let me do that again. It's like not even a coherent sentence. Surely you have seen the e-commerce space evolve during your career. How long have you been at this? 8 years?
Yeah, probably. I was at Shopify for like 6. Took a little mini break and another 2 now. So yeah.
So 9. Yeah. Like a long time.
A long time.
Any major shifts or trends that you've seen that you're surprised by?
Great question. I, the first part of my career was securing accounts and making sure safe things happen on Shopify. So wasn't very familiar with the ecosystem back then. But I think now, like, at least from the partner perspective, it's just kind of related to what I said before of just the noise, where I think we're getting to this point now where quality and like setting a bar that like really aligns with, where Shopify is going, like performative apps, an ecosystem that makes sense and works together. That's the place that people care about, like merchants care about the most. The more that's out there, the more people challenge, whether something's good quality or not. And, the way to stand out, I think, is just with that performative and really solid experience that mimics Shopify, right? And like, that's not to say that surprised me at all, but, you build an ecosystem and there's like, 100 apps to start and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And you think, oh, there's like no opportunity, but like there still is. It's just, you have to be very mindful and thoughtful about what you're building for customers, because like times are tough, building businesses isn't super easy to get like, to the point of sustaining your lifestyle. And that means that they have to put that much trust in the tools, right, that they use for running that business. So I think that is not a surprise that it's happening, but I do suspect that quality bar is going to make a big, impact in the ecosystem for the people that use Shopify. So,
and throughout your career, the other thing you've done, I saw, is present at conferences on entrepreneurship and women in tech. What's your advice for women who want to break into e-commerce or who are here and are like, look, I want to be more like Diana?
Great question. Yeah, I mean, I still struggle with like, do I post enough? Is my content good enough? Do people even care? Like, do I post on Twitter? Like, because I don't
same
see.
Thoughts. And you know what?
Good. Okay.
I post anyway.
Yeah,
because if nobody cares, they're just not going to do anything with it.
Yeah, it's so true, right? And it's like, I think I was in my head about it a lot, where you question whether what you're saying is worth it. And then you start questioning, like other people have said the same thing. Like, why should I say the same thing? And like, that's what goes through my head all the time. But I just 3 weeks ago, I gave a talk about like my 17-year journey of pivoting from film. I was an audio engineer and I moved all the way through like all these crazy like IT security products, founding my own company, pivots, and yeah, gave a talk about like being a generalist and, having these doubts about yourself every single time. And I think it gets easier if you keep doing it. You get more comfortable with it. And I think like, and it's so dumb that like my advice is going to be like, just start, but like, that's the only thing I'm doing that is making a difference, where I don't put things off and I'm like, okay, like today's going to be a post about this, or I'm going to learn how to do this, like I'm playing around with Flow a lot. We have like a bunch of integrations there and I'm like, ooh, like this is reminding me of my IT days, like playing around with different automations. And yeah, just starting makes you more confident, right? And then meeting great people in the ecosystem who are like, yeah, like this is great. Like let's partner, or let's, do something together. And like attending the conferences, I was so anxious, editions and, like all the events and after parties and whatever. And you just, yeah, you get there and you're like, oh, right. Like your competitors are probably there, but like, they don't, like everyone's just having a great time. Like you're just trying to do the thing together. Right. And so, yeah, not thinking that everyone's your enemy would be big advice.
Yeah, when I go to those conferences, I talk to the other podcasters. I know most of that crew. I talk to the other agency owners, right? I talk to the app people, and in theory, those are all competitors. I don't think about them that way, not at
Right?
all. It's like,
Like,
look, there's more than enough addressable market here. We can all
that's
benefit.
exactly it. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, yeah, it's a bad mindset, right? To think that everyone's out to get you. And yeah, there's like bad apples out there for sure, but like,
Yeah,
don't focus on that. Like, that's not worth your time. And like, you're doing this because you enjoy it. And if you really are passionate about e-commerce and want to like either build a store or build an app, like the tools are out there now, like so much of it that it's attainable, right? And it's just like having that, like, okay, there are people that are going to help you. You're not alone.
and so many communities out there that are. I love them. I love this. I
Yeah,
love the community. I love what we have. We're
I know.
lucky.
I
So
know. I agree.
like that, I own my own business. I'm self my own business, like all that great stuff. Yeah. But the part that really nourishes me is the community aspect, and then helping other people with their business too. And there's so many people I've helped who are their businesses are 10 to 100 times more successful than I'll ever be, and I just love it.
It's so good. I literally was almost late for this meeting that we had because I was on this call with like a merchant this morning, and they're like, okay, what can we do this? And like, how about this? And this is what we sell. And I'm just like so in it. I'm like, let me show you. And then like a building flows on the fly. And I'm like, oh no, Kurt. Oh, I have 5 minutes left. It was like that stuff. Like I didn't realize how much I missed it, right? Because you work for large tech companies and
It's different.
you kind of get away from customers and like people who feel passionate. You're just like building the thing and like doing it and getting it done. But now I'm like, I get to hear about like the cool, like how we have these like distributors here and like here's how we run our business. And I'm like, wow, like I can't believe you built this, right? And I think that that's like the highlight of my day is those calls.
What do you think this show is based on?
Yeah, right.
It's that, right?
So
Um,
good.
okay, so what's next for Downpay, Diana? I want to know like features, big projects, secret
Yeah.
announcements.
Oh, yeah. Great question. Well, yeah, there's some really fun stuff coming for our Plus folks. There's like some really great stuff we're building for being able to split payments over time and extend Downpay to like really support this like pay in four kind of workflows, like things that people are very used to. And now we can extend to that. So that's like huge thing that I think is going to make waves in, well, these kind of flexible experiences and saving on the interest costs for merchants. And so that is like the biggest thing. And I said focus, and like that's what we're going to focus on for this foreseeable future. And yeah, I'm excited for yeah, what that's going to do for Shopify in general.
And where can we go to learn more about Downpay? Where do we go from here?
Where do we go? Yeah, we have a website, getdownpay.com. So that one there is just our landing page, and you can read about, what we have right now, and how it works and everything. And I'm slowly but surely compiling YouTube videos of like cool workflows, like all the stuff that I like doing, that I hear people wanna see. I'm like building out educational stuff there too, just so that kind of get it out more.
You do like
So those
tutorial
are,
videos on YouTube?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm gonna
That's
do
what moves the
those.
needle. I have
Yeah.
uploaded hundreds of YouTube videos. The ones
Yeah.
that have like 10,000 plus views, there's like 2 that are interviews, the rest are screencast tutorials. Because that's like people, I have a problem
Yeah.
to solve. I Google it, and
Yeah.
Google's like, look,
That's the
here's the
thing that
YouTube video that
yeah.
does it.
And people like it, so therefore, yeah, it recommends it. And I think I have so many of those like ideas for those that I'm gonna sit down and make like a better channel for that. Like I answer these questions all the time over support, or over email, and I'm like, well, like this would be so much easier if I just show you. And it's not like the third icon from the left. No, the left. Like
Yeah, it's like
it's
when you're
gonna be
watching a
easier.
screen share and you're like,
Yeah.
no, your other left.
Yes, exactly. Like this is painful. So I try to save myself time, but also I think it's valuable. So those are kind of two big places. And then of course we are on the App Store, on Shopify, and in various communities. So feel free to follow me on LinkedIn as well. I post content all the time there as well.
Diana Birsan, Downpay, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was great.